Welcome into another edition of That's Deep. I'm Tommy Z, joined as always by Johnny Bravo, coming off a week off from MMA. Had a pretty rough card a couple weeks ago. Thankfully, we both kind of came to our senses there in that main event, and we ended up betting Diego Lopez to kind of salvage a little bit. But looking for a bounce back here. We've got a pretty, solid card, UFC Perth. So we're going to have a lot of fighters from New Zealand, Australia, and a lot of debuting fighters, a lot of, relatively unknown fighters. So a lot to dig into. But Johnny, how you feeling coming into this one?
Feeling good. Rough card for me. Last card was brutal. Couldn't buy a win. Good little week off to kind of ease the mind a little bit, and I'm itching to get right back into it though. I'm ready to go.
You and me both. All right, so let's jump right into it here. First fight on the card is in the women's strawweight division. We got Loma Lookboonmee taking on Alexia Tainara. Tainara's looked pretty solid. Came off the Contender Series. Got a win over Molly McCann. She was taken down a few times on the Contender Series. So, Loma, she's got that grappling in the arsenal. She's got some pretty good throws. And, she's been around for a while. So she knows how to hang in fights. Loma's going to be at a bit of a size disadvantage here. What are your thoughts going into this one?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Loma, we've seen her in the UFC fighting. She's on a nice little 4-fight win streak. She's looked pretty good. She comes from that Muay Thai style background. So, the striking is good. She's got good, decent clinch work. She's been more recently, she's kind of been going to her grappling and her takedowns, which, in some fights is good. But, yeah, she's pretty much no power, pretty much no finishing upside. I don't know how many times we've bet her to get a finish, and there's just no really killer instinct there. But she does have that grappling in her back pocket. We've seen her get a sub. I think what's her name? Elise Reed. I think she subbed her. So
yeah,
it's there, but it's just seems like there's no killer instinct. And like you said, she's going to be at a massive size disadvantage. That's pretty much what she always is. She's a small girl, and Tainara's pretty much like a giant. She came in her debut against Molly, and I had questions marks coming on her from her Contender Series debut. I really didn't know what to expect from her. The striking didn't really look that great, but she came into the Molly fight, and she had all the tricks in her bag. The striking looked sharp. The grappling. She just ragdolled pretty much Molly and was able to submit her pretty easily. Yeah, this is a tough one. It's like, man, Loma plus 200 is kind of tempting, but I just think the size and the more powerful shots are going to be coming from Tainara, and I think if she gets a takedown and gets on top, I think Loma could be in some trouble. But the pick is going to be Tainara, but I don't know. Loma, it's kind of a greasy one for me, but the size and the power, I think, is just going to be a little bit too much for little Loma.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of do like the Loma side, just based on the money line. And I do, she can keep fights competitive. She's done it. She's been in there with some decent fighters in the division. So she's not somebody that's just going to get steamrolled. But yeah, the size is kind of tough. And Tainara seems like she's got a pretty good skill set, and I don't know if we've seen the best of her yet. So got some upside there.
Like a crazy chick. The way she danced out to the Molly McCann, when she was walking out dancing, she seems like a crazy chick. Maybe has a few screws loose.
Yeah, she might, and that sometimes that goes a long way in the MMA world. So we'll see. Molly was on a bit of a skid. She's not a great grappler. So if you go to the grappling against her, you have a pretty good advantage. So not necessarily the greatest of reads. Now she's boxing. She's out of the UFC. So I don't know. But I don't know. I think it's going to be competitive. I'm interested maybe in the plus 3.5 for Loma. But yeah, I think Tainara probably gets it done. She seems like she's got some pretty good upside. And she probably just, just does enough to control the fight and get her hand raised at the end.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move right along here to the big boys. We've got Brando Perisic taking on Elisha Ellison. This fight was originally booked to be on the Contender Series this season. So a bit of a difference in travel for these guys. Two big heavyweights, not the biggest records, very, very limited experience, very, looking at their opponents, it's kind of tough to really gauge where they're at, but we got two big boys looking to swing. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is two low level heavyweights that were supposed to be on the Contender Series. Now they get shifted to a Perth card. I mean, I don't get it. I watching these guys on tape, I really didn't see nothing too mind blowing. Brando. I mean, he seems okay. He likes to blitz the pocket, get inside, get in the clinch, land power. Yeah, I mean these guys, the cardio. Yeah, I question both of these guys' cardio if it gets extended. Like if this gets out of the first round, this could just be like two big gassed out guys. Yeah, Brando. I guess he's got. The grappling seems okay, but you really don't know with these guys. And then with Elisa Ellison. From what I've seen, he's kind of low volume, but when he throws with some bad intent. He's got some decent power. The striking looks okay when he throws. If he gets on top, he's got some pretty decent ground and pound, but I've seen him on his back. I think his loss is he got choked out by some big fat slob. So don't really like to see that off his back. I'm not sure how he's going to really be if it gets there. So I don't know. This is two low-level heavyweights. I think somebody probably goes to sleep in round one. I'm going to lean Brando probably gets the job done, gets inside, gets in the clinch, lands a big elbow, and hurts Ellison. And, yeah, the pick is probably Brando round one KO.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I think, he comes forward. He definitely puts out more output, at least from what we've seen, on the regional scene. He's the hometown guy. He's trained with the city kickboxing boys. So, he's got quite a bit going in his favor. He was supposed to make a, 20-hour trip or however much it would be to get to Las Vegas. Now he's kind of, just staying home. And now Ellison, who was supposed to stay in America and fight in Vegas, now has to make that 20-hour trip. So, kind of switched up the circumstances for these guys. And, I would expect both of them probably going to be gassed out after round one. And that's what's interesting, because if we don't get that round one knockout, I could see this one going all 3 rounds, because they could both be just cooked and just kind of hanging on each other for the final 2 rounds. But the way Perisic, he fights, he looks to come forward, get in the clinch, land big shots in the clinch. He's kind of an all-action guy. I think that's going to be enough here. And honestly, I don't really like the way Ellison takes punches. He didn't seem like a guy that, if he gets hit, he kind of shies away. So he's kind of low volume. Yeah, I just wasn't overly impressed with what I've seen. Perisic, same deal. Both these guys haven't really fought the highest level of competition, but I'm going to go with the guy that's a more of a local fighter, and he's got a little bit of an easier path in this one. All right, moving right along here. we've got a relatively interesting matchup here in the women's bantamweight division. We got Michelle Montagu taking on Luana Carolina. Montagu coming over from PFL. She's fought at mostly 145. You know, she's fought in her amateur career as high as 170. So going to be interesting to see what she looks like on the scales, getting down to 135. She does train at American Top Team, so she's got some work with Kayla, and she is a wrestler. Taking on Luana, who, she's normally fighting at 125, so we could see a massive size advantage in this one. Carolina, more of a kickboxer, but she's shown a little bit, grappling defense in some recent fights, but overall, more of a kickboxing style. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting one. Like, we've seen Montagu. We've seen her, Michelle. We've seen her, in the PFL. She's training partners with Kayla. Big grappling, heavy style. She's going to look to try to get you down. All of her fights are pretty much round one submissions. On the feet, I mean, pretty shit on the feet. Nothing really to offer on the feet. And yeah, I mean, her game plan is going to be to get you down, get to your back, and choke you out. Pretty simple. And Carolina, we've seen her in the UFC for a while. She's fought some, decent fighters in the weight class. She's on a good little 3-fight winning streak. Her style is she's going to want to strike with you. She's going to want to use her kickboxing and striking, where she's going to have a massive advantage in that department. If she can stuff some takedowns and kind of try to frustrate Montagu and Montagu's cutting, like you said, she's cutting down here. So this is a big weight cut for her. And if she doesn't get that round one sub, how is she gonna be able to hold up? Is the cardio? Is she gonna continue to be able to keep going and shooting takedowns? And we don't know. It's a big question mark, But she's got good training partners. She's with Kayla. She's at American Top Team. And then Carolina, she's moving up here, but she's moving up because she can't make weight at 125 because she's a big girl for 125. So I mean, her moving up here, I mean, I don't know how much of a size disadvantage it's really going to be, but yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. This could be also a good live betting opportunity. I think I'll probably bet Montagu by sub in rounds 1 or 2. And then maybe look if Carolina can stuff some takedowns and kind of keep it on the feet. I think maybe that would be a good live entry spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe sprinkle on the sub round 1 for Montagu and see how Carolina looks. She can stuff a takedown.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good way to go about it. I mean, I think Montagu probably is going to have the success in the grappling. I went back and watched a handful of her fights, and her striking's not good, but she's I've seen her get hit and put in some compromising positions and just continue to move forward, which is a good sign, because a lot of times you don't know when you see a wrestler. They get hit for the first time and they kind of just curl up and then they just get run over. I didn't see that with her. She seems like she's willing to fight. She's willing to scrap. The striking is not great. I mean, obviously, if this fight was on the feet for 3 rounds, she's probably losing, unless she landed like some big overhand or something like that. But I think the grappling is going to be effective enough. I mean, Carolina, we've seen her. She's had some struggles on the ground in the past. I don't think her grappling is all that great. I mean, she's shown some improvements, but I think if Montagu does have, I mean, I would imagine when they get in the cage, Montagu is probably going to have, 10 to 15 pounds on her, even though Carolina is, she's a big girl. She struggles at 125 to make the weight. But yeah, I just think the grappling upside is pretty high with Montague here. But again, like you said, could be a live entry if she looks like she's fading after round one. If she's not able to get the takedowns like we expect her to early, it could get interesting. So I'm right there with you. It could be a live opportunity, but I'm going to take Montague. I think she probably gets her down. She probably finds a sub. But yeah, if she doesn't, we'll be looking at it live for sure.
I also want to see how she looks on the scale.
Yeah,
but she's over there. She's taking those good vitamins that American Top Team with Kayla. So
yeah. I mean, she's at the right team to get her there. So I think she'll be all right
over there.
Yeah. But hey, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right. Our next fight is in the bantamweight division. We got Colby Thickness, or Thickenese, I call him Thickness, taking on Josiah Musasa. Both guys relatively new to the UFC. We saw Thickness take on Topuria's brother in his debut. He was a massive underdog. Had a pretty decent showing for himself. Took that fight on relatively short notice, and actually I think it was very short notice. Went 3 rounds, was just a little bit behind all 3 rounds. And we got Musasa, he's got knockout power. He's a very good boxer. Split decision on the Contender Series and then comes in and gets dropped and submitted. So not a great look for his debut. I think there's a lot of question marks with both these guys. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting one. I mean, Thickness he's coming in off the Topuria fight where, I mean, really didn't do too much in that fight, but try to pretty much just survive. I don't know. It wasn't too great of a performance. He went all the way. He went the distance, but Topuria didn't really go for the kill in that fight. I don't know. It was kind of just a lackluster performance to me. The striking isn't great. I mean, his path would be pretty much to get the grappling going. I mean, he's got some decent grappling. He's at a good gym. He's Volk's buddy. So, Volk talks highly about him, but I just don't see it in him. The striking is not great. I mean, he has some decent body kicks and kicks and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much longer he'll be around. He'll probably get a couple more fights, but and then Musasa's, is an interesting guy. He actually impressed me on the Contender Series. He said it was a split, but I mean, he fought a really tough dude, a really tough, heavy grappler. He was able to stuff the takedowns and keep it on the feet and kind of just piece them up, which was kind of impressive to me. And then he came in and just laid, I mean, an ultimate fraud check by Carlos Vera, who was one of probably the worst at being in the UFC ever. He got landed, a head kick, a fluke head kick hit him, and then he got tapped out, it's not a great look. Yeah, but on the feet, this guy throws heavy heat. He's got good striking. I think the takedown defense is pretty good, but I mean that would be the path for Thickness here, is to kind of try to get the grappling going, take him down, and maybe weigh on his cardio. But I think Musasa's cardio checks out pretty good, and if he can stuff a couple takedowns and keep this on the feet, and I mean, I think eventually I see him knocking out Thickness. I think he's going to put him away pretty cleanly. So, yeah, I like Musasa's by knockout.
Yeah, I'm going to take the dog shot here with Thickness. I think he's a tough dude. Like you said, he trains with Volk, trains with some good guys. He's not a great fighter by any stretch, but I think there's just a lot of question marks with both these guys. You go back and you look at Musasa's record, some pretty sketchy fights on there. I mean, he's got a lot of
guys in Africa, in the African jungle. So,
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know.
Congo.
It's tough to really gauge kind of where all those guys are at. But, yeah, I just think there's a lot of question marks in this one. I think Thickness is a tough dude. He's going to make it interesting. Obviously, if he could get the grappling going, that would be great for him. But
I think he's
I think it's
dead on the feet, though. If it's on the feet, I think he's drawn dead thickness.
He could be. He could be. But, Musasa coming off basically essentially getting knocked out. I mean, he got subbed, but, he got dropped. So, we'll see. We'll see how he bounces back from that. He could be totally fine. He could, could have been a blip on the radar. And yeah, he can just do the thing here and land a big shot and knock out thickness. But yeah, I'm just gonna roll with the dog on this one. I just think there's just too many question marks, and yeah, I think it's close enough. All right, moving right along here. Another fun one, to say the least. I mean, we got Jamie Malarkey taking on Rolando Bedoya, lightweight bout. Bedoya is a guy, I mean, he's 0-3 in the UFC, but, he's fought a couple times at 170 and dropped down to 55 and, fought a 6'3" fighter in that fight. So, taking on Jamie Malarkey here, who's, 6 foot himself, so he's a pretty good sized guy. But Malarkey's chin is very questionable. I believe I wrote down, he's been dropped 6 times in his last 7 fights. He's been knocked out 6 times overall. He's had some good fights in the UFC, exciting fights. He's had some questionable wins. But overall, I mean, he's a guy that's, generally fun to watch. And Bedoya also, pretty fun to watch. He comes forward. Puts up pretty decent volume. Has not been able to crack the win column yet in the UFC, but I feel with Malarkey's chin, anything's possible. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, Malarkey pretty much has no chin at all. I mean, a gust of wind can knock him out. I think he's on a tough stretch. He just hasn't looked great. He can't take a punch. He's a decently skilled guy. He's got all the skills in his tool bag. I mean, he's a pretty well-rounded guy, I mean, but it's just the durability is just, there's just nowhere to be found. He's taken some time off to maybe kind of try to heal the chin, but I just think it might be a little bit past. Like, I don't know if that once you get knocked out like that over and over again, I don't know if you can really get it back. But he's got skills. He's at home here. He's been off, so it's he should be ready to go here. And yeah, Bedoya, he come into the UFC. He's fought some tough guys, Goofy, and he's fought some pretty tough guys coming in. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. This is probably his last opportunity. Yeah, Jai Herbert. Oh no, he didn't fight Goofy. Jai Herbert, Hassan Kanan, Chaos Williams. The Chaos Williams fight, he put on a decent performance for himself. And, he coming in out of nowhere, we thought, oh, shit, this guy out of nowhere, he comes in and he put up a scrap with Chaos. Said, okay, this guy, might be good. But then he just doesn't really, go on a run. His striking is pretty good. He's high volume. He's one of these Peruvian guys with infinite cardio. He's going to walk forward. He's going to throw volume. He's going to take punches. He's going to eat punches with his head, but it's pretty durable. It's just the thing is, like, he has no power. That's the only thing. There's really no power coming back from it. It's just all volume. And, it's like, but you might not need to have too much power to knock out Jamie Malarkey. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. I'm going to lean with Bedoya right now. I'm not sure. I just can't trust that Malarkey chin, man. I'm gonna think Bedoya is able to get in there and scratch for his first UFC win and get the job done.
Yeah, I'm on the Bedoya side as well. I did place a bet on the under 2.5 because, like we've said, I think Malarkey could easily get knocked out. It's not going to take too much. But I also could see a world where Malarkey, takes him down and jumps on a sub. I feel like both guys do have some upside to finish in this one. But overall, I think Bedoya is going to win. I think he probably wins by knockout, even though, like you said, he's been more of a volume guy. But it just may not take that much to crack the chin. You've been knocked out 6 times in your career. It's not good. And Malarkey's a guy who's, he's been known for going to wars. He's been in some scraps, so he's taken a lot of damage. And eventually that, the toughness just wears off. The durability just wears off. And, you start to get wobbled by, strong jabs. And, next thing you know, you're getting knocked out. So, yeah, I think Bedoya is the side. And I think a finish is coming in this one. All right, moving right along here. Our next fight is in the welterweight division. We got Jonathan Mikalev taking on Oban Elliott. This one's pretty interesting. I mean, Mikalev, pretty quick sub on the Contender Series, and then had a pretty solid debut. Showed a little bit of power, put up some decent volume. Taking on Oban Elliott, who, he looks like he's got the skills. He's had, some decent performances, but he's also had some sketchy performances as well. I'm kind of up in the air on both of these guys as to, how good they may be, where their upside is. But what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is another interesting one. I mean, Oban minus 600 against Cole in his last fight, and that fight was just terrible. He got completely dominated from the start to finish. He got out grappled. He really had nothing to offer. He was never in that fight, But he showed some stuff in his first couple of UFC fights. He showed he has the skills. He looked decent, but once again, he's another cage warrior guy that you can't really trust. These guys, man. A lot of these guys come into the UFC and just flake out, as we've seen, But the skills look pretty good. He's got some pretty decent grappling, and he's got some decent striking. He's okay. We've seen him. He knocked out Mazel Hafez in round 3. That was pretty sick. And he's got the skills. It's just I don't know what was going on in that last fight. He was, massive favorite and just never even showed up, which is, I don't know. That performance is kind of, going back and watching it was kind of puzzling to me. Just way out. And Mikhailov, I know me and you, we were both on Giuseppe in his debut and when he fought, and we were like, yeah, this guy, if it's on the feet, this guy's going to get pieced the fuck up, like you said.
Yeah.
And this guy came in and looked like fucking an elite striker. It was absolutely insane. He's throwing volume. He's got body kicks. He's landing big shots, power shots. I majorly thought this guy was just a pure kind of a grappler guy, but he showed that he's got other wrinkles to his game in that striking. I don't know how or where it came from, because it sure didn't show on the tape or nothing like that. But I guess he's got it in his arsenal, and this is a tough one. These guys are pretty evenly matched. This should be a pretty good scrap, but Oban was minus 600 in his last fight. Now he's a pick'em against this guy. I just got to lean that Oban gets back on track, gets the job done, and is able to get some takedowns, win some striking exchanges, and probably win a decision here. Yeah, I like Oban here. You get a discount, it's pretty much a pick him. He was minus 600 in his last fight, so
that could be some value there. I'm right there with you. I think Oban probably finds a way. And, Mikalev, he looked good against Giuseppe, but Giuseppe's also kind of been a guy that's, he's kind of flaky too. So, maybe the performance looked a lot better than it really was. But, you give him credit. He did the job. But
I think Giuseppe's in the PFL now, too.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But it's not like Oban's been fighting guys that are really better than Jusset either. I mean, Basel offense is like, he's okay, tough guy, but
a lot of people thought he won that JDM fight though.
What's that?
A lot of people thought he won that JDM fight.
Yeah, I mean, he showed up for that one. He definitely made it interesting. I was sweating that one out for sure. But that's the best he's looked. Other than that, I mean, you got
Oban's fighting these Cage Warrior guys. It's like these guys are all fucking scrubs, Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out a lot about both these guys in this one. But I'm with you. I'm gonna roll with Oban in this one. I think we'll probably see the overs. It probably goes long. Could go all 3 rounds. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Oban here, and maybe we get a cool interview at the end. He's a big wrestling fan, gangster. So he usually puts on a decent show in the interview. So hopefully we get to see that. But yeah, Oban for me. All right. Next fight here is in the middleweight division. We got Cameron Roston taking on Andre Petroski, and this one's interesting to me. Roston, big, tall, lanky guy. We saw him in his first fight on the Contender Series, got taken down 10 times by Torrance Finney, but to his credit, I mean, he did get up a decent amount. I mean, you get taken down 10 times, you're definitely getting up at times. But, Finney's a guy that just wants to, grab a hold of you and hold you down. And Petroski kind of is a very similar fighter. Petroski's a guy that if he can grab a hold of you, get you on the ground and, ride out 3 rounds, he definitely will do that. Petroski taking this fight on relatively short notice. I think it's like 3 weeks, 2 weeks. But, yeah, I mean, interesting one here. Obviously, Petroski, if he gets the grappling going, would have the advantage. But, I don't really trust his gas tank. And, somewhat short notice. Interesting here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this one was kind of just thrown together. We seen Rossi on the Contender Series a few weeks ago. He got a solid knockout win. Looked like great in that performance. We seen him, in the Finney fight, like you said, he was able to get back up, but he just completely his takedown defense. He can be taken down, but he has a decent get up game. Long guy, so rangy, good strike, decent striking, some power in his hands. I mean, he looks pretty decent. The Finney fight wasn't the greatest of looks, but I mean, Finney just pretty much is boring and does that to everybody. So eventually his time will come. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Short notice, he won the fight. He told Dana, "I want to get on the Perth card," and here you go. They call Andre Petroski. Short notice. Flying all the way over from Australia. Cardio's not great. We've seen Petroski. He's kind of the Shabazian fight was kind of a terrible look, ugly look. But the Vieira fight was, I don't even know if he won that fight. A lot of questionable. Yeah, I don't think he won that fight. So, he does what he needs to do. Like the Butka fight, Butka's probably one of the worst to be in the UFC, and he was able to take him down and pretty much hold him down. Didn't really look for a finish in that fight, But then we've seen him get knocked out, in the Hobo Cop fight, and then in Jacob Malkoun, he shot a weak takedown, and then Malkoun's hip absolutely starched him. So getting starched by a hip is kind of it's a rough scenes, kind of look. Yeah. So we know the durability is kind of questionable, and the gas tank is questionable, but he seems he's one of these guys that kind of fights through that tiredness, and keeps on going. So yeah, he's got decent boxing, kind of low volume, little bit of power in his hands. He's got, he kind of he's got good wrestling and he's got decent BJJ. He kind of puts them both together and kind of keeps you down on the mat, and you know, that's what he'll go to later on in the fight. If he's tired, he'll just get you down and pretty much just lay on top and pitter patter you for the whole round. Decent wrestling, and but this is kind of a tough one, man. Short notice, flying over from Australia. I mean, if this was kind of a scheduled fight, I think, Petrosky's only like minus 160 right now, which is kind of crazy to me. You think this guy's been a vet. He's been in here for a while fighting a new guy, and he's only minus like 160 against Cam Nostine. The line is just little fishy, man. This seems like everybody's on Petrosky at the discounted money line, and this guy just ends up getting knocked out. I don't know. I'm gonna lean with Rothstein, but I don't know. It's a tough one for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the dog here too. And it really all it comes down to is I know that he's a guy that can get taken down for 3 rounds and continue to fight up and continue to put output out there. And he is long, he is rangy. We saw in the Contender Series he can crack and he can finish guys. I just think Petrosky, I think the cardio is going to be a problem, and I just don't think he's going to do enough. I mean, I don't think this is a fight where he's going to be able to grab a hold of Ralston and take him down and just hold him down. Ralston's going to work his way back up. He's going to put a little volume out there, and I think it's going to be a good look for the judges. And I do not like Petrosky's chin. I do think he's very, very vulnerable in that aspect. I mean, you talk about that knockout with the hip, and I laugh my ass off because it's just something you never see, and it's crazy. But I think he can be rocked. I think he can be hurt, and we've seen some of his wins. Like, I've been on him in a few fights where, like, yeah, he's gonna ragdoll this guy, and it's just easy money, and then he's hanging on for dear life, and it's worked out. But at some point, if a guy's gonna be, especially a taller guy, a guy who's can get his knees in there, can work up, and it's tough to really grab a hold of because there's just so much of him, so much legs, so much arms, and I think the dog shot here. I mean, especially with the travel, it is relatively short notice. You think Ralston, he just fought not that long ago. He was wanting to get on this card, so you have to imagine he didn't get himself out of shape at all. Just stayed ready, and I just think there's a lot of upside there. So yeah, I like Ralston, and I actually did place a bet on him already. So that bet is in.
There you go.
All right, moving right along here. Did I? Yes, I did. Got the light heavyweight matchup here with Navajo Sterling taking on Rodolfo Bellato. Bellato is, I mean, what can you say about this guy? He's a punching bag. He's maybe a great actor. Maybe knocked himself out after the Paul Craig up kick. Who knows? But he's a guy. He's got a couple wins in the UFC. Basically, got his ass kicked for the first round and in those fights, and his opponents gassed out and found a way to win. Then we had the Paul Craig debacle. So yeah, I mean, a lot of weird stuff with this guy. And then Navajo Sterling, on the other hand, he's got good striking, another city kickboxing guy, but we haven't really seen him. He hasn't been overly impressive with what we've seen. I mean, the skills are all there. Good range control, distance control. But, taking on a guy like Bellato, that's very hittable. You would think Sterling's got the upper hand here. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Bellato, I don't know what to make of this guy. This guy's kind of a clown, man. I mean, he comes in, he fights Ihor Potieria, big favorite. I mean, Pateria, I mean, probably knocked him out like 3 times in that fight, and the ref didn't stop it, and somehow he was able to survive. And Pateria gasses, and then he finishes him. And then the Jimmy Crute fight, I think we were on Jimmy Crute in that fight, and Jimmy Crute round 1 knocks him, almost finishes him, gets a 10-8 round. He fights to a draw because Jimmy Crute is Jimmy Crute and gas after round 1. So, that fight was a draw. And then his last fight, I mean, Paul Craig was outlanding him on the feet. Paul Craig actually looked like a decent striker against this guy. This guy made Paul Craig look good on the feet, and then, Craig lands that up kick, or maybe if you slow it down, it doesn't really land, and then this guy flops to his back, and it's a no contest. So he's quite quick turnaround if you got starched by an illegal up kick, and you're turning around here like 2 months later. So, I mean, the guy, I mean, he's got decent power in his hands. He's got okay striking. There's some grappling there. I mean, but I just think this guy's just a clown, But he has some skills. He's not, just a dead fish, But in Sterling, I've been kind of high on Sterling, and he's kind of had like 2 kind of lackluster performances. He's coming out of that city kickboxing gym, and his last fight against Urslan is, he kind of had to fight against some kind of like some close moments in there, where Urslan was kind of having some success against him, and he had to really bite down. And at that 3rd round, and got some takedowns, and won the round somehow. Dropped him. He dropped him and almost knocked him out, and then got on top, and and won the fight. So I mean, my question mark is if he gets grappled himself, if somebody shoots a takedown, gets in on the hips, and gets him down to the ground, is that going to be a problem? Where I could see kind of Bellato. I mean, if Bellato was smart, which he isn't, he would probably get inside and try to get takedowns here. But I don't know. On the feet, Bellato super hittable, like you said. I really like Sterling's striking. It's real sharp, real crisp. He has good power. I think eventually Sterling finds the button and puts this guy out, man. I'm going with Sterling, and Sterling by knockout. I think he gets his first UFC knockout.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's going to put a lot of damage on him early in this fight. And I don't think he's going to have to empty the gas tank to hurt him and to put that
Sterling
damage on
has
him.
Good cardio though.
What's that?
Sterling has good cardio, so I don't think you would have to empty the gas tank to finish him.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, he's a smart guy. Like, I mean, part of his lackluster performances is, not always pulling the trigger, and then ending up in a longer fight than you would imagine. But so yeah, I think he would be pretty disciplined in this one. But I think unless Bellato's just shooting for takedown after takedown, Sterling's going to put some pretty big damage on him just because just skill for skill. He's way better on the feet. And Bellato, I mean, the guy's taking damage. Like, he takes damage in every fight. That Paul Craig thing, I don't know. Like, was he acting? Did he get knocked out? Like, there's no way he got knocked out from the up kick. But there is there is the possibility that he did hit his head on the canvas when he flopped, because he clearly looked at and flopped. Yeah. So, because he did react like a guy, like he kind of reacted like a guy that woke up and was like freaking out. But so either he's a great actor or he actually did knock himself out. I know the up kick didn't knock him out.
I think you're right. I think probably hit his head, and maybe that's what knocked him out.
He looks at the ref and goes like this, and falls back.
Like, what?
And then
the
lights look like they went out, and then he's waking up. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those all-time MMA mysteries that we'll never really solve. But I mean, So if he did get knocked out, and if he actually did get knocked out, I mean, he's taken a lot of damage, gotten smashed in the first round of basically every fight he's been in. Navajo Sterling, again, this is a hometown guy. This is a guy that you think the UFC is trying to put into a good position here. So, yeah, I think Sterling puts a lot of damage on him early in this fight, and he's not gonna gas out. I mean, I guess if that happens and we see him starting to fade, we throw a little bit on Bellato, and it is what it is. But yeah, I think Sterling I think he's going to put a hurting on him, and he's going to get him out of there. All right, we'll move right along here. This is a very interesting matchup. We got Tom Nolan taking on Charlie Campbell, lightweight division. Both guys, pretty decent size for the division, kind of long, rangy, skinny dudes. Both have had some success, but we've also seen their chin get cracked. So, there's still some question marks. But yeah, I mean, to me, these guys are like a mirror image of each other. I mean, it's very close. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, two guys of similar styles, big, long, lanky guys. Nolan came in gangbusters, into the UFC, supposed to roll Nicholas Mata, absolutely gets sent to Jupiter and obliterated, comes back, and hasn't fought the greatest of competitions. Victor Martinez, not the greatest. Alex Reyes went to decision with Alex Reyes. A decision. Couldn't finish that guy. So I mean, that's not a great look. But he not a great look against Reyes. But then he bounces back and then he, has a great performance against Slava. I mean, just pretty much schools him on the feet, which is kind of surprising, and just beat up Slava. I mean, it was a great performance. Yeah. So I mean, coming off that victory, I mean, Nolan, I mean, he's looking good. He's a decent fighter, well-rounded. Big guy, good striking, power in his hands. And Campbell kind of the same way. I mean, the Trevor Peak fight, he was able to do enough to kind of just stabilize, Trevor Peak and not get into a mad, war, and just trying to kind of just piece him up, stay on the outside, and fought a good game plan. He also fought Alex Reyes, and he was able to finish him. But Campbell here, he's like, what is he like? He's coming off like almost a 2-year layoff here. Hasn't fought in like 2 years, so that's going to be interesting. What was it? Injuries probably. But he's coming out of good camp. He's up that Longo camp, so he's going to have with Aljo and Marab and all those guys. So he's at a good gym. I like both of these guys. But I think Nolan has a little bit more and is able to get the job done here. Probably win a decision, but this is super tough one, man. This is probably one of the better fights on the card, and this is a tough one to pick. But I'm gonna lean Nolan's able to get the job here done. These guys are pretty evenly matched, and this should be a banger.
Yeah, I mean, this is, to me, it's a coin flip. I think. I could just see it going either way. We've seen both guys get knocked out. The Campbell was against
Duncan on the Contender Series.
Yeah,
Chris Duncan on the Contender Series.
Yeah, and he was looking great. Like, he had Duncan just dead to rights, and then Duncan just did what he does and found a way to finish the fight, and that's kind of been the Chris Duncan career, to this point. So, you can't put too much into that one. But yeah, I mean, I think they both they've both looked good at times, and left a little bit to be desired at other times. Nolan is the bigger dude. I mean, he's 6'3", I think. Campbell, I think, is like 6 foot even. So Nolan will have a little bit of a size advantage here. You know, hometown guy, close fight. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll roll with Nolan as well. I think he's got enough going for him, and it's close enough fight. I guess you know if neither guy gets knocked out, you think Nolan would probably have a little bit of an edge when it comes to the judges.
Hometown
So
rub, you know.
yeah. So I mean, good fight. I think it'll be fun to watch. Back and forth, evenly matched. But yeah, I'll roll with Nolan in this one. All right, moving right along to, I mean, like these are the fights that just kind of kill me. We break down all these cards, and it's just like you see a Tafa brother against the debuting heavyweight. Like, just can we not do this anymore? But here we are. We got to break it down. We gotta talk about it. You know, Justin Tafa. He's the bigger of the Tafa brothers. Got heavy hands, but this. I mean, he is what he is. And then Louis Sutherland, he's a guy making his debut. He's got limited experience coming in. Who knows? What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you're lucky because we were supposed to have two Tafa brothers on this card, so we would have had to broke down two Tafa fights.
We escaped it.
You missed out there, Tommy. Man,
Yeah.
dang it. So yeah, I mean Tafa. I mean we pretty much know what we're getting out of him. He's kind of a Mark Hunt type, but not even level. He's like the fucking 99-cent store Mark Hunt.
Version.
Timu version, yeah. So, he's going to walk forward. He's going to throw bombs. He's going to brawl with you, get in the pocket, and pretty much like a bar fight, get in a brawl. That's what he wants to do. The skills aren't really too good. Takedown defense is pretty terrible. You get him down, he's probably not getting back up. He's not getting back up. You get him down, he's not getting back up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no takedown defense, no ability to get up, no ground skills whatsoever. But on the feet, I mean, he has big power in his hands, and if he hits you, you will go to sleep. That's one thing he is. He will put you out. And Louis Sunderland, big, massive dude, going to have a pretty good size advantage here. I mean, I just haven't seen nothing really too exciting from this guy on tape. I mean, he looks like an okay striker. He's got decent power got good power in his hands. I didn't really see too much grappling, which I would want here. I would want him to just pretty much take Tafa down and just smash him out. I mean, because that's the least path of resistance, but I don't know, man. It's a Tafa fight. You talk shit about Tafa, you go in there and this low-level heavyweight gets absolutely just obliterated. You know what I mean?
He just does the walk-off KO.
Yeah, he Tafas him and just deads this guy. I don't fucking know who's going to win this fight. I can't bet Tafa, so I guess I'll pick Sunderland to win, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, if it sways your opinion at all,
okay.
Your boy signed is on Sutherland here at plus 110.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Just fading a Tafa brother because they suck.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Not too much for me on this one.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to bet this one. I don't know. I guess if I could see myself just betting like a Tafa round one, just because it just feels like that situation where he just, he lands that big shot and then you see him walking around the cage going like this, like, it's easy work. And it's just like, oh my God, this guy just did it again. But I mean, I don't know. Of the Tafa brothers, like, he's the one that has at least shown us a little bit. Like he has landed some
Yeah,
big shots, and like
he's got knockouts.
you
He's
know,
got some big knockouts in the
yeah,
UFC. So I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
And I mean, he is a big boy. You know, I don't know. I don't know what Sutherland brings to the table. Like maybe he does have a power double that can just get him to the ground. But I mean, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably not gonna bet this fight
yeah.
and just kind of hope for something cool to happen. But I mean, if you're betting Sutherland, as a dog, yeah,
Good luck.
that's I get it. That's dude's coming in, big heavyweight. He can get the job done. But yeah, this is
Yeah,
probably a fade for me altogether.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Moving right along to really interesting one here. I mean, we got Jake Matthews. He's been he's looked good. He's kind of showing the potential that we all thought he had. Taking on Neil Magny, who, coming off a big win. I think we were both on Magny in his last fight
Yep.
as a
Yep.
dog. We cashed a nice ticket there. And as always, Neil Magny is a dog. He's a sizable dog in this fight, too. Jake Matthews, another hometown guy. He's a guy that's got all the skills, good striker, good grappler. But Neil Magny is just that guy. He just hangs in there, and you got to expect this fight to be pretty competitive. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean Jake Matthews, a lot of potential. He's got all the skills, man, and he's on a nice little run here. He can be, I guess, kind of a little bit flaky, but I mean he's on a solid run here. And he's got all the skills. The boxing is pretty decent, but he has grappling and good submissions, but he like almost rarely uses it, but he utilized it in his last fight and got a pretty easy submission. So I mean, that would probably be his lead path to resistance here would be to take Magny down and Magny on his back is not very good. He's been subbed I don't know how many times, 8 times I think. And the submission defense for Magny is not great. So yeah, I mean Matthews, the boxing is good. I think I mean he can box him up here, but you really want to box with Magny for 3 rounds? I just think you take this guy down, you get his neck, you choke him out. But that's easier said than done because Magny's one of these kind of, he went on that, that tough stretch where, he's fighting all these fucking killers, Proches, Gary, Shavkat, he's fighting the who's who. He's fighting, pretty much, everybody. He's getting knocked out, but he fights these guys like Malott and Zaleski dos Santos, and he looks good. I mean, his last fight, Zaleski I was kind of worried about my Magny bet because Zaleski looked really good in that fight until Magny was able to get a reversal, get on top, and just was able to find the finish. This is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of where he's at. He's kind of an opportunistic guy. The skills. I mean, he's gonna want to kind of push you up on the cage and kind of make it get in close and get in the clinch and kind of make it a grimy fight. That's his only path. The striking isn't the greatest. If he gets on top, he's a good grappler. If he gets on top, but off his back, he's not very great. So. I don't know. Matthews, my big favorite, minus 500 here. I don't know. I think Matthews probably finds a sub here. I mean, if he's smart, he'll take Magny down, find his way to side control or the back, and grab his neck and put him out. I think Matthews wins here, and I'd probably take the shot on the Matthews by sub. Yeah. Even though I hate to do it because Magny was good to me in the Zaleski fight. As a dog, he came through. I hate to go against him right in the next fight, but I think Matthews in Australia, he's on a good run here. The Chidi fight, I mean, he was able to get to Chidi's back and choke him out. So I think if he gets in a similar position here, I think he can easily choke out Neil Magny.
Yeah. I feel like Matthews, we talk about him as a guy that's he's had a lot of potential, been a bit disappointing, but he's still a relatively young guy. It's not out of the question that he kind of puts it all together and goes on.
He's been in the UFC since 2014.
Yeah.
He's been in the UFC for 11 years.
Yeah.
He was like 18 or 19 when he came in.
Yeah, it feels like he's an old guy, but he's in his early 30s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's not. He's kind of in his prime right now.
He's 31,
Yeah. There's the possibility that he kind of puts it all together. It's I mean, obviously massive money line, so not a guy that at this point I'm super comfortable parlaying on the money line.
No.
But I do think, there is finish potential. Like you said, I think that the sub is live. If he really comes in with the game plan to grapple, he's got the advantage and he's going to look like a $5 favorite. I like Magny. I'm a big Magny guy. He's been around for a long time. Cashed some tickets on him. Cashed the ticket on the last fight. He's burned me in a couple times too, where he came through as a massive dog, and I was against him, and so he's a
I was
tough
on
guy to
Malott.
kind of
I was on Malott in that.
Yeah,
in that
Malott.
fight.
I was huge, and Malott had him dead to rights. Malott smashed him for 2 rounds, and then he just
last minute he was able to turn it around.
Destroyed him. Took his soul basically. So Magny can do that. But yeah, I just think Matthews, if he really is putting it together, if he really fights with a good game plan, he should win this fight. I mean, Magny is a guy, he's up there in age. At some point the wheels do kind of fall off. The win last time was nice, but Dos Santos is, he's not exactly the cream of the crop.
He's falling off a cliff. He's the one. So he's cooked.
I mean, we got a good spot there. Took advantage. Worked out. Yeah, I think Jake Matthews is the side here. I think the sub is live. If he gets that grappling going, probably makes it look pretty easy. And that's really all there is to say about that one. All right, so we move on to the next fight here. And this is a pretty good one. We got Jack Jenkins taking on Ramon Tavares. Tavares is a guy, very good boxing. It's kind of what he does. He's clean in the pocket, good striker, tough, durable guy. Maybe could grapple. The thing about Jenkins is Jenkins can be grappled and he puts himself in bad spots on the ground. But he does also, if he's the one initiating, he does have pretty solid top game, and he can win the grappling exchanges too. But he does put himself in bad spots on the ground. Tavares is not really a guy that's looking to grapple, so that probably isn't going to be a factor in this one. This is going to be more of a standing kickboxing affair, you would think. Jenkins, obviously, the kicks. If you watch this guy fight, I mean, his kicks are brutal. Destroys calves. Just loves leg kicks. Tavares, southpaw makes it a little bit more difficult to land that calf kick, but the kicks are still there. The body kicks are there too. Two guys willing to throw down. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't know how much grappling we're really going to see in this one. I mean, but Jenkins' takedown defense is not very great, but I think majority of the time these guys are going to be trading on the feet. Jenkins, I kind of like him. It was You know, he's got, you know, decent boxing. You know, like you said, those heavy leg kicks, they do big damage. They finish fights. They pretty much he takes people's legs home, you know, with them. You know, yeah, and then you know his last fight, the Santos fight, he got subbed. wasn't the greatest of looks. You know, like you said, the grappling position, he just put himself in a bad position and got finished there. You know, so we know the defensive grappling is not great, but I don't think I think these guys are gonna stand and bang and do what they do. Tavares isn't really a grappler, and you know Jenkins, that Herbert Burns fight, like I remember we were on stream and we were like, man, just fucking finish this dude already, and it took so long for him to Herbert Burns was actually having decent success on the feet in round one, which was kind of interesting, you know. But eventually he was able to land those big leg kicks, and Gilbert had to carry him out of the octagon, which was so we haven't seen him since. And you know, I mean, this is kind of a tough one. You know, it's Jenkins. He's at home. He's a good striker, good big leg kicks. And Tavares, you know, he's kind of. I've been on kind of the other side of Tavares. You know, I was on City in those fights. You know, the first one, City was, you know, dropped them early on their Contender Series fight. You know, City dropped them, and then the ref jumped in, and it was an early stoppage. They run it back in the UFC, and then Tavares just absolutely pretty much destroys them, beats them up, pillar to post. So, yeah, you know, it's you know, he's had his moments. You know, he's a good, you know, good striker, good power in his hands. You know, and yeah, but he's moving up here in weight, I think. So, yeah, that's going to be a test here. You know, is the power going to translate up a division? I don't know, probably. You know, but this is I don't know. I think Jenkins should win, but it's just sometimes his IQ is kind of questionable. But yeah, I think the big leg kicks, the good strike, the hands will just be able to overwhelm Tavares. And yeah, I like Jenkins here to win. I don't know if he finds the knockout, maybe leg kick knockout. But yeah, I like Jenkins. I'll be on Jenkins for sure.
Yeah, I like Jenkins too. I think this fight probably goes long.
Yeah,
because it's going to be a little bit tougher to land those leg kicks against a southpaw. Obviously, you can throw them to the inside leg, but you kind of going shin to shin there always. But I mean, Jenkins, his calves or his shins are pretty calloused, so I mean, he could throw them, you know, and do damage. But yeah, I think Jenkins. And honestly, if anybody was going to grapple in this one, I think it would be Jenkins. Maybe land a takedown or two to steal around. Tavares, you know, he's a very steady boxer, and that's kind of what he does. You know, we have seen Jenkins land takedowns in the past. It's kind of, you know, he does have that in his arsenal. Like we said, you know, if the positions get switched, he puts himself in bad spots. But you know, I don't know if Tavares really offers that much of a threat in the grappling department.
Submission, yeah, I don't see too much of a submission threat or anything from Tavares. So
yeah, so I think, you know, Jenkins maybe lands a takedown or two, maybe steals around that way, close fight, landing those kicks. Again, a hometown guy. So could get that rub, could get the crowd on his side, kind of sway the judges a little bit. Yeah, I think Jenkins is a side here. Good fight, competitive. You know, not gonna run to, you know, bet my mortgage on it, but I think Jenkins gets it done. All right, moving right along here. Feels like we've been going for a bit here. We got a light heavyweight fight. Jimmy Crute, man, we talked about a little earlier, taking on Ivan Arslan. Crute's another guy that, you know, it's got the skills, but man, fight IQ, fight the cardio, not always up to snuff. taking on Ivan Urslan. He's a guy that, he's not anything special, but he's a guy that can manage to, go 3 rounds. He's gone 5 rounds on the regional scene. Tough guy. He's got some decent power. Interesting here. Jimmy Crute obviously is going to have the crowd on his side, but Crute is Crute, and the cardio is always suspect with this guy. He's got all the skills, got great submissions, got pretty good striking, decent power. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, Jimmy Crute, he finally got himself a win. He was winless for 5 years. He had a great win against Pacquiao, but it's marching Pacquiao. You can't really, I don't really put that up there, too much, but a win is a win, and it's good to get off the schneid, and, the Villado fight was, like we talked about, he rocked and hurt Villado in round 1 and just completely, gassed. The Menafield fight, Menafield subbed him and kind of retired him, and then he came back for the Villado fight. He's kind of a glass cannon. You really don't know what to expect. He's going to come at you balls out in round 1. He's going to throw everything he's got.
I don't know if all right, you're frozen. I'm all right, looks like Johnny's frozen. It seems like mine stream is okay. But we're gonna hold off here for a second, see if we can reestablish. All right, let's see here. All right, we'll wait to see if Johnny pops back in here. So I'll finish off this fight. I think Crute probably gets it done, but I am going to be interested to bet the Urslan side live, depending on how that first round goes. I could see Crute, having a great first round and gassing out, and Urslan would be live. But I think overall, I think Crute's probably got the skills. And here we got Johnny backstage here, so we will pull him back up.
Yeah, froze up there. Yeah, I don't know if you heard anything I was saying, but yeah,
he kind of just froze at one point. But yeah, go ahead with what you were.
Pretty much. Crute's going to come out round 1, try to, put a lot of volume on him, try to get him out. And if he likes to unload the gas tanks. So, yeah, I guess Urslan's live if he can survive, and kind of take over late like we've seen, Crute fall off a cliff after round 1. But I don't know. I'll probably bet Crute round 1 and maybe live bet it.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of what I was just saying before you pop back on. I think Crute's the side. I think he probably should win this fight. But I will be looking to see what that first round looks like. And if Urslan, if Urslan loses the first round, but it looks like he's still in the fight, I could see myself betting Urslan for sure. Crute is Crute. The cardio could fall off a cliff. And if it does, maybe cash a live ticket. But yeah, I mean, officially, Jimmy Crute's the pick. I think his submission game is good early in the first round. He's got the power. He's got the overall skills. I think he's the more skilled fighter. But yeah, that cardio falls off. It could be a problem. All right, so that brings us to our main event. We have been feels like a long show here, but
14 fights, so
we finally made it. Yeah, it's a lot of fights on this card, and some pretty close matchups too. So we had quite a bit to say. And another close matchup here. We got this is a kind of where are you at type fight. I mean, Dominic Reyes obviously came back. We all thought he was dead, and he's getting knocked out back to back to back, and just had a rough stretch. But he's come out. He's won 3 fights in a row. Not necessarily against the who's who of the division at this point, but a guy that was one time really just one judge away from beating John Jones. Getting some confidence back, getting some wins under his belt, taking on Carlos Ulberg, who's he lost his debut in the UFC, but since then he's rattled off a bunch of wins, had a couple finishes along the way. Coming off the win over Jan Blachowicz, which is a pretty solid win. But yeah, a lot of question marks. I mean, how good can Carlos Ulberg be, and is Dominic Reyes back? Is he the old dominator? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting one. I mean, we got Dominic Reyes, who we thought was completely cooked and done, getting finished by getting starched by Ryan Spann, and I mean, I guess the Prohashka one you can't really hold against him. But yeah, I mean, he was 1 round away from beating John Jones, and that kind of just, I think maybe that sapped his confidence there and kind of fucked with his head. Continued to get starched. We thought his chin was gone, and then he bounces back 3 fights in a row and looks absolutely, amazing. He's looked really good. He's knocked everybody. He's finished everybody. It's really solid. Really solid. Really surprised me that he actually was able to bounce back. Looks really good. Good striker, fast, athletic, but there is still, you never know about that chin, but I think he's okay. And, we got Ulberg, like you said, he got knocked out by Tafon and Chukwi, where he pretty much threw like 200 strikes in the first round and just like completely kind of gassed himself and ended up getting finished in that one. So we've had kind of question marks about his cardio in the past. It seems to be okay as of recently, but he's one of these city kickboxing guys, really good kickboxer, really good boxing. We've seen, he can grapple the Dawoon Jung fight, he was able to get to his back and sub him in that one, but the Blachowicz fight was not really, it was a win, but it was not a great performance. I think you could kind of, I was on him in that fight, and you could kind of like debate it for Blachowicz. I think in that one, it was a super close fight. I mean, low volume, really didn't do much in that fight, and which was probably his biggest step up here than the last against Jan. And now you got a main event here in Perth. I don't know. This is an interesting one. I've never really been a big Ulberg believer. But he's proven me wrong before, and he's got the skills. He's a good striker. So I don't know. I'm gonna go with the dog here. I'm gonna take Reyes, hoping he can find like one last lightning in a bottle. And he can just outwork Ulberg, or maybe find the button here and put him out. So yeah, I like Reyes here. Reyes is a dog. Give me it.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to bet a number, and
number's too wide. The number's way too wide.
Yeah, we did it. We did it last week. in the main event, or 2 weeks ago, with Diego Lopez. We sat there and talked about it for the whole card, and the plus 200 was just didn't make sense to us, and that came through with flying colors. Dominic Reyes at his best is better than Carlos Ulberg. I mean, that's just a fact. Can he get cracked? Yes. That would be the way he loses. But I think if this fight goes and, Reyes doesn't get knocked out, I think he's winning. I mean, he's fast. He's extremely athletic. He's a former football player. He's always been, fast. He has solid power. Just overall, really good fighter. I mean, you go toe to toe with John Jones, and it's crazy to think about what the UFC would look like if he had won that decision. Like, there would be no John Jones as the GOAT holding up the heavyweight division. Like, none of that stuff would be happening right now. So, and obviously Reyes's paychecks would probably look a lot better too. But yeah, I just think Reyes at his best. I think he can beat Ulberg. I'm with you. I've never been over the moon when it comes to Carlos Ulberg. I think some of his wins were, okay. But yeah, like you said, the Jan win, like, very low volume fight, not exactly the type of fight that's gonna propel you to the top, and that's probably why he's got to fight this fight here, because if he had a dominant win over Jan, this division is pretty shallow at the top, so he could have catapulted himself into a title shot, but that's not the type of performance to get you there. And
if he knocked out Jan, then he probably gets the next shot. But now these guys are probably fighting for a number one contender spot.
Yeah, like, this is a legit fight where the winner of this fight may be the next in line.
Or next weekend, big one next weekend.
Yeah, huge one. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. I like my heart says Reyes, my brain says Reyes. I just think that the numbers was just way too wide. And if Reyes is kind of back, I think he should win this fight. I think he's got the skills. And yeah, I mean, I guess we'll find out if the chin really is a real problem. He probably gets exposed in this one, but I'll take Reyes all day, and live with the consequences. So I guess that's it. We got a big card here. A lot of fights. A lot of close fights, a lot of interesting fights. But, we'll be live Saturday. We've got, again, NASCAR all weekend. Got the NFL back, college football. So we're live for, basically from Thursday on. I'm actually going to the Giants game this weekend. Jackson Dart's first start. I got box seats, so I'm pretty fucking pumped about that.
There you go.
Hoping for some life out of the Giants. But yeah, I'll be on, live with you guys Saturday night. And, yeah, I guess, Johnny, if you got anything else to add, let us know.
Nope.
Otherwise, we will get out of here.
That's it.
Good to go. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Give us a like, share the video, subscribe to the channel. NTS Sports Picks is the new YouTube channel. Or NTH Sports Picks is the new YouTube channel. So subscribe there and sign up. NFL 40, it gets you 40% off. Great value. Obviously, the NFL is going strong for us. So tune in. And I guess until next time, good luck this weekend. And let's win some let's cash some tickets.